Episode 458. Chen Guo thought it over from every angle, but still couldn't come up with a plan. Forget about her being just a spokesperson. Even if Ye Chu himself went out to make a public appeal, the response he'd get would be nothing but suspicion and scorn. This is just the established environment in Glory.
It's just that starting over in a regular server is a real hassle. It's an old server, not many new players.
Chen Guo sighed. Her character, Chasing Haze, was from the 5th server, an old district that had been around for years. With the 10th server just opening, any new player who chooses an old server must have friends there, or some other special reason. In short, they're not real rookies.
Hey, I've got it. You could start a guild in the 10th server.
Me? Start a guild?
Ye Shu was taken aback.
Right, starting a guild in the new server shouldn't be too hard, right?
It really isn't.
Yi Shu said this as he looked at his character, Lord Grimm. Given this character's fame on the 10th server, starting a guild wouldn't just be easy, its appeal would be practically unrivaled. These new servers are full of super green rookies. People like Tang Ru, fresh to Glory, don't give a damn about the big 3 guilds or any of the class-based guilds. All they knew was that Lord Grimm was the most badass player on the 10th server, bar none.
Hey, hurry up. Go create it already.
Got it.
Yi Shu nodded. If you wanted to build a team and manage it for the long haul, you definitely needed a guild in the game as your foundation. Right now, starting a guild is the perfect chance to steal the spotlight in the new server, to grab its resources. It'll be the first shot fired for their future development. So Yi Shu decisively posted the message about forming a guild on the World Channel to gauge the reaction first. After lying low for days during the Christmas event, Lord Grimm suddenly dropped this bombshell. The world chat immediately went into a frenzy of non-stop scrolling. Ye Shu's message was instantly buried in the flood of posts. But at the very least, the chatter on the World Channel was still doing its part to spread the word. Over in the friends list, the message notifications began to flash even more frequently. It was Monday afternoon, and the game wasn't too crowded. Most of the folks online in my friends list were from the big guilds. They were all messaging me now, no doubt trying to fish for information. For the major guilds, Lord Grimm starting his own guild was absolutely not good news. Lord Grimm was starting a guild. This news sparked worldwide discussion, and within the core circles of the major guilds, it spread like wildfire. Even those who weren't online at the time got a phone call about it. Even those who had stayed up late and were now sleeping soundly were jolted wide awake by this news. This is no small matter, especially for the guilds aiming for those dungeon records. If Lord Grimm were to establish a guild, he would certainly have the strength to compete for dungeon records. But now, they were no longer a scattered band of stragglers. With Lord Grimm's reputation on the 10th server, he could easily establish a guild with a massive membership. Even if these people lacked any real strength, they would still become a powerful support for their dungeon teams. For guilds backed by professional clubs, this connection provides a natural advantage and a powerful support system. Yet, it also binds them in certain ways, limiting their freedom of action. Because these guilds essentially act as the in-game representatives of their professional teams and clubs, and Glory Online is the primary gathering place for the game's fan base. These guilds naturally needed to work hard to build a perfect public image. Any unsavory actions absolutely could not be exposed to the public eye. Take their previous pursuit of Lord Grimm and his crew, for instance. That was already an operation the major guilds had organized, one that carried a certain degree of risk. The main reason almost no one used their guild tags during the hunt was to keep the players on the 10th server from seeing things too clearly. Fortunately, back then, Lord Grimm and his crew were just a few wandering ghosts. While the major guild's actions were somewhat underhanded, they figured a small, weak group like that couldn't stir up much of a public outcry. But now that Lord Grimm was forming a guild, that changed everything. If they used those same dirty tricks on Lord Grimm's dungeon team now, his entire guild would be watching, and that would let everyone know that these big guilds, unable to compete fairly, resort to such methods to suppress their rivals. In the past, when faced with such opponents, the major guilds would never get directly involved. They maintained a stable of free accounts, characters not officially in any guild, specifically for handling such unsavory business, but everyone had already experienced Lord Grimm's power and capabilities. Even when they mobilized the entire guild for a large-scale operation back then, they couldn't exactly call it a success. Just sending out a few scattered troops to cause trouble would probably just be a suicide mission. What do we do? A question mark of anxiety formed in everyone's mind. Among them, the top guilds like the Big Three were suffering the most. The three major guilds and Excellent Dynasty all knew Lord Grimm's true identity, and of course they had watched the broadcast of the All-Star Weekend. Yi Chu's dragon raises its head maneuver was interpreted by a top player like Han Wenqing as a signal of his unwillingness to fade into obscurity, a comeback call. This interpretation gained widespread acceptance, but they never expected that the Great God's comeback would begin in the 10th server. The establishment of this guild was a particularly heavy blow to these major guilds. As for those guilds with slightly less strength, they still harbored ambitions for the dungeon records. But when you look at the overall results of the competition, it's still these major guilds that hold the dungeon records. But now Lord Grimm was stirring up trouble again, and they were of course the most annoyed by it. And they knew Lord Grimm's true identity, which meant they knew he was someone they could never recruit. Yi Chu? You must be joking. As for them joining the guild's clearing team as hired help, even they themselves think that's a pipe dream. As for the guilds who weren't in the know, they were all full of such schemes at the moment. Take Misty Rain's Yanyu Changchang, for example. The moment he saw Lord Grimm had an interest in running a guild, he immediately went to try and persuade him to join. Naturally, Yi Chu politely turned him down. Misty Rain Kang Kang was still thinking his offer wasn't attractive enough, and was now mulling it over further. Well-established guilds like the Big Three and Excellent Dynasty, who knew the score, wouldn't waste their time on such a futile effort. Blue River, one of the 4 guild leaders, headed to the Heavenly Domain to report to their guild leader, Springing Spring. Shen Yehui from Excellent Dynasty was also feeling uneasy, and he went to find Excellent Era's vice captain, Liu Hao, to report the situation. Ever since learning Lord Grimm's true identity, Herb Garden's Che Qianzi had been keeping a careful distance, observing from the sidelines and seizing every chance to slack off. He stuck to this plan, staying under the radar, and in the end, the one he went to make contact with was none other than Tyrannical Ambition's Nightfall Cold Pool.